Right, I think that'll go now. I got the fucker. Right, what we're trying to get rid of is that's your kingpin plate here. Basically, that's your steering. Well, that piece is solid. There's a pin going down through that holds your spindle that the wheel rotates on.
Yeah.
That's bushed. And basically they just wear out. So it's not the easiest job in the world, but we'll show you how to do it. You've got to try and get the split pin out, which is normally bent up. Like that. So some American cars, your wheel as you're driving rotates that way, yeah?
Yeah.
So that is what they call a left-hand thread. So as the wheel rotates, if your split fin falls out, it'll try and rotate the nut that way, which is tightening it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it doesn't matter on the other side because your wheel rotation is different to the spindle. Well, the wheel rotation isn't different, but it's obviously on the other side. Okay. So what we've got to do is take this back plate off to get to this bit, which is your steering. Normally your top two just have spring washers on them, yeah? Got 4 bolts holding the back plate on, but your bottom two, because they actually hold the steering actuating arm, they're split pinned to make sure they can't come undone. Got to pop the split pins out. Right, so it's all undone. This plate comes off. It's more like a dust shield than anything else. Then you want to get this off, which is again a dust shield. The back of your oil seal and the back of that sits against it. Once you're in a bearing in a race, your back plate should just pull off. That's that. Rest him over there. If you do it that way, you haven't got to strip any of the brakes out, it's all left on the unit, yeah?
Yeah.
Steering arm out the way, it'll come off, it should do. Don't be frightened of these things, a big hammer doesn't matter. Getting rusty things like that out generally without heat, if you can use a bit of shock. That ain't gonna work. Get a bit of heat on it, I think. Fucking 5/8 spanner. That'll be it then. I think he's run out of gas. Oh no. Right, so the only other thing we can do then is split the ball joint and leave the steering arm on. Right, that goes down through there, yeah, and it pivots on that. this is locked solid through that pin there, which you hammer in, which you like to air chisel out. Yeah, see that taper on that?
Yeah.
So that you bang through that hole there, and that locks that in there. Yeah, on that slot on your taper. So that's locked solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you've got a bush in the top of that and a bush in the bottom. So when that comes apart, yeah, so you've got a bush in there and a bush in there. You can have shim washers, but this is a bearing. So you think you've got the whole weight of that car. If it was just without the bearing, sitting on a metal face and sitting on a metal face there.
Yeah.
So this, look, there's a roller bearing inside.
Yeah.
So that goes on there, and all the weight of the car pushes up on that, so it'll rotate freely. Yeah. So if you didn't have that, it'd just graunch its way through it.
Yeah.
So now we'll get rid of some rubbish everywhere. Give it a bit of a clean up. Sometimes you have shim washers in these, which you get new in the kit, but it doesn't look like this had any in it. Where it's obviously worn, they've tried to pack it with grease. Look, it doesn't matter. If it's worn, it's worn. You know, you're not going to fill the gap up with grease. That's got her. Right, these you've got to press out or get out somehow, yeah? The bronze bushes in there.
Yeah.
That's what the kingpin swivels on. So there's no point in faffing around trying to bash them out because they won't come out, so just Dremel them through, break the back of them, and then they'll fall out. If you look in there, Stu, that little line there and the brake, that means it's gone through. So you should be able to then just give that a little tap. Sometimes you have to go all the way, but see, they just fall out then. See, that's different from the other bushes I took out. It's slightly different. That one's been done at some point, and that one's original General Motors, so that's been in there since 1938.
Okay.
Which is why it's worn out.
Would be.
A bit like me. Right, mind yourself a minute, Stuart, just going to blow all that off. Right, and what I do, whilst I've got the Dremel out, these edges, where you smash caps in them and bits and pieces, just run the Dremel round them to clear all the burrs up. So you've got to put a cap back in it.
It's like sanding it down then.
Yeah, just taking the burrs off. I mean, if this was anything super duper, I mean, like where I've got, there's a bearing goes on there, a roller bearing, just an inner race. But these things are so hardy, do you know what I mean? You can pretty much do what you want with them. Right, you want to make sure your bottom's level. And just go in gently with that, let it square itself up. So what you want to do then, because you want to push them past that, because you've got to put a cap in the top of that.
Yeah. How far down do you have to go then?
Basically you can go down to the bottom edge. So that's just based out. You don't want to push it any further than that. So that's then flush with that, yeah?
Okay.
And we'll do the other one. Then what you have to do is take it back in, and your kingpin now won't fit, because that's a nice tight fit.
Yeah.
On the kingpin before you press them in. Now they're pressed in, they're compressed, so now you have to ream them out to fit. You want an adjustable reamer that's longer than that, so it'll cover both the bearings,
Okay.
because you can get a bit of that on it, but I haven't got any choice. This is all I've got, so I'm going to go with what I've got.
How much do you need to ream?
Not a lot. Well, I know that the other kingpin I set through was set to that,
Oh, okay.
so that I did it bit by bit. All you do is undo that, tighten that, and that spreads those bars.
Yeah.
So now, just put a bit of cutting fluid in there. We'll wind that through and see where we're at. They will all alter if you've got a little bit of shit stuck in there and it compresses it a bit more or something, you know. Right, so that's a nice fit, and that looks like when it's going. I mean, sometimes you can press them in and they do just go pissed, but that's gone in okay. So when I slide that through there, look, pretty much going slap bang in the centre of that bush, doesn't it?
It is, yeah.
So we should be able to just go straight through with the reamer that side, because they self-centralise. You can get ones that what they call straight flute. See, those are slightly tapered there. So you've got to lead in as such.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll let you pass in so far before you have to start winding it up. Right, so let's try it. See if it lines up. Nope, she's a bit tight, so we'll do whack her back through and force it this way a little bit.
So you can.
You can jiggle it around, yeah. It's not ideal, like I say. Ideally, you want a long one that will cover both bearings at the same time.
Yeah.
But we haven't got one, so.
So you're just pushing down.
Just pushing it that way, because I saw that it was binding a little bit on that side. You don't want them loose, but again, they don't have to be that loose, as long as it's a, you know, you can move it, because you've got all the power of the steering and everything. Nope, that's still too tight, so let's go through the top again. It's just getting a magic leeway between the two, you know. Just open that one out a touch.
What's that doing?
Just spreading your, I'm just reaming that out just a little bit more, because you're only talking like, it'll be a thou, literally a thousandth of an inch or something like that. It's just binding. You just got to get rid of that bind. What you can do sometimes is just bash that in and turn it, and you can see where it's picking up on the bearing. See, that line there? That's where it's picking up on the bearing somewhere. So.
How much play would you expect to see?
Well, ideally you want no play, but as long as you can turn it.
I meant the turn. How much resistance on the turn?
That'll be fine. Yeah. It's better to be tight than loose.
Okay.
So what we've got to do now, because I don't bother trying to line up the oil holes, it's just not worth the grief of trying to line them up. So all you do is just take your grease nipples out, drill them out, so you've got grease access. Yeah?
Oh, I see.
Well, the chances of getting them in line are
yeah, I understand.
Very, very minimal. Right, run your reamer through, clear those burrs up. I'll drop that. Right, it's going to shim this up. So you want to rest that on there. And that goes up that way. Your bearing goes on there. You want to put that in there with no kingpin or anything. Right, it's got minimal play there. Whether you can actually get a shim in or not.
What size shim should you be putting in there?
They're all different, but well, then they come in different sizes, but generally it's just you put 1 or 2 in it. But that's so small, I don't think you'll ever get anything in there anyway. No, you won't. See that hole there that we drove the new pin out of? Drove the old pin out of. You've got to try and line up that slot with that hole, yeah?
Okay.
Oh, that's what holds it, is it?
Yeah, it holds the kingpin in. Oh, that's hit the kingpin now. So that should go in further than that, so we've got to get that back out. Right, need to go down a bit more. Right, I think that'll go now. I got the fucker. Yeah.
Is that grease going in?
Yeah. Just pump grease in it.
Is there a way out for it, or is it just...
No, you just pack it up. I haven't put the caps on yet, but you just want to make sure you get plenty in there. There's plenty in there. That's good as. Right, then we'll put our caps in. Because they're domed, all you've got to do is whack them on the top with a ball peen hammer, and that spreads them.
Not including.
Right, that's good. Yeah. Right, that's that.
Do these have Yankee threads on these, Ash?
Only on this side.
Yeah.
We're just looking for the hole to put the split pin in.
Sorry?
You're just looking for the hole to put the
Yeah,
split
but you've got to
pin
make sure your wheel bearings are tight enough. You don't want any play in it, and you don't want too much drag in it. Normally what you do is you crank them up and then back them one notch back. So it just seats the bearing. So that's seated. Just go back to there. That's it. Kingpin's done.
Lenny's mobile number. Lenny's mobile number. So whatever it costs, it's something.
Next week on the workshop.
The worst thing to do with a battery is just leave it. If you keep them moving, charging up and down, on a very, very low trickle, which is just like literally like a 3-watt bulb.
Yeah.
Keep the battery active. All the cells and the acid and all that in there, just keep it active. If you leave them, they'll just go dead, and that's it.